Welcome to A Student of Leadership, a micro-podcast where leaders are made one habit at a time. Hosted by Rob Adams, a leadership veteran with 30 years of experience, this podcast explores key concepts that define exceptional leadership. Each episode delves into a powerful word or strategy, offering practical insights and real-world stories. Whether you're just starting out or an experienced executive, join Rob as he guides you in learning, growing, and leading with purpose.
Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head and thought, that wasn't what I meant? You were trying to help. You were trying to move things forward. You were trying to do the right thing. And yet something shifted. That moment is more common in leadership than we would like to admit. Welcome back to A Student of Leadership, powered by Unipro Food Service and our Leadership Development Program. I'm Robert Adams, your micro-podcast host, and we are into episode 55. Today we're going to be talking about the moment before impact, the small window where good intentions either build trust or quietly create distance. I want you to pull up a chair because you're at the leadership table. Real leaders, real growth, one table. Here's something most leaders don't realize. Very few leadership mistakes happen in big moments. They happen in fast ones. A quick response, a rushed correction, a tone that feels efficient but lands sharp. The intention is usually good. The impact often isn't. There's a well-documented example of this pattern from the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, as we know it. Across decades of investigations into aviation and transportation incidents, one insight shows up again and again. Major failures are rarely caused by lack of skill or knowledge. They're caused by unquestioned habits under pressure. Highly trained professionals weren't careless. They were experienced. They followed patterns that had worked before. But in changing conditions, those same habits created higher risk. Investigators found that the difference between a close call and a failure often came down to one thing. Did someone pause long enough to notice what they were about to do? That pause changed outcomes. The same is true in leadership. Here's a myth that trips us all up. If my intention is good, my impact will take care of itself. Well, you see, leadership doesn't work that way. Impact is never automatic. It's behavioral. And the behaviors that made you successful early on, decisiveness, speed, high standards, can quietly create distance later if they go unchecked. I call this the autopilot gap, when leaders move too fast to notice how they're landing. Let that sit just for 1 minute, right? The autopilot gap, when leaders move way too fast to notice how they're landing. So from a behavioral point of view, this makes complete sense. Under pressure, the brain defaults to efficiency. We revert to what's familiar to us, and familiarity feels safe, even when it's outdated. This is where the before I practice becomes really powerful. Before I respond, what am I about to reinforce? Before I correct, what might they experience? Before I step in, what am I preventing others from learning? That moment before impact is where leadership actually really lives. You see, here's the contrast worth noticing. Leaders who close the intention, impact gap, slow themselves way down. Remember that intention of the impact gap, they slow themselves down. Leaders who widen it speed themselves up, not because they're careless, but because they never interrupt the habit. So I want you to take a moment with these questions. Which leadership behavior shows up fastest when you're under really extreme pressure? Where has that habit helped you in the past but hurt you recently? And are you willing to see it without defending it? Now, I want you to try this one time this week. Just once, that's it. I want you to choose a familiar moment, feedback, decisions, interruptions. Before you act, silently say to yourself, "Before I," then name the likely impact of what you're about to do. You don't need to change everything. You just need to interrupt the pattern once. That's how awareness turns into development. And I want you to know that if this episode stirred something for you today, that was intentional, because leadership growth doesn't start with the answers. It starts with noticing. It starts with awareness. This is the work we do together at the leadership table at this community, because food gave us roots. Leadership gives us purpose. Real leaders, real growth, and one table. And if you want to keep learning with me throughout the week, here's where we stay completely engaged and connected. Because as we start the week on Mondays, the leadership table arrives on Beehive with practical leadership insight you can apply right away. On Wednesdays, Breaking Bread, a student of leadership newsletter, shows up on LinkedIn, where leadership lessons are shaped through real moments and shared experience. And on Fridays, the Mindful Leader lands on Substack, offering space to slow down, reflect, and lead with intention. Yes, they are all different spaces, but one commitment to growth. The other thing I would share with you is every week, Monday through Friday, I provide hopefully thoughtful leadership posts for you to enjoy right on LinkedIn. So I'd love for you to connect with me and join the conversation. This is Robert Adams, your micro podcast host from a student of leadership. I will see you next time at the table. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Student of Leadership. Leadership is about who we become and how we help others grow. If you found value in this podcast, share it with a fellow leader and connect with Rob on LinkedIn or leave a review. New episodes drop weekly, so don't forget to subscribe to stay connected. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and leading with intention. Remember, great leaders are made one habit at a time. See you next time on A Student of Leadership.